even when like things are looking down for me, like I could start the song with a bit of like upset, depressing words, but then by the end of it, I'm trying to figure out like where I can go from there, where I can advance, like what I can do to improve myself and to get out of that situation. Just keep it real, you get me?
Welcome to Inspiring Voices, the podcast of the Sing Up Foundation. We believe in harnessing the power of singing to improve mental health and well-being for children and young people.
In this series, we're capturing lots of different perspectives and chatting with practitioners, researchers, young people, and more to make connections and to understand more deeply the unique role of singing, songwriting, voice exploration, and creative music making in transforming children and young people's mental health and well-being.
This second series focuses particularly on how we can inspire young voices, and especially on how children and young people who have particular challenges in their lives that can affect their mental health can be supported through singing and music making. Inspiring Voices, the podcast of the Sing Up Foundation.
Please remember to subscribe and leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. It really will help us to get the word out. Thanks for listening, and now on with the show.
So welcome to a very, very special pair of episodes that we've got for Inspiring Voices. I'm Sally Barbaria.
And I'm Baz Chapman, and throughout this series we've been exploring how singing and vocal work can support children and young people's mental health and well-being. We've heard from researchers, practitioners and advocates, but now it's time to hear from the people at the heart of it all.
And so we're bringing you our first ever Young Sessions. There are 2 episodes that put young voices at the front and center. And these were recorded by a team at Lewisham Music. And so we're joined now by Afiya Lucombe-Davis, Lewisham Music's community program producer and Young Sounds mentor. So Afiya, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So Afiya, in this first episode, we're going to hear from 4 young artists, Gurdon, Kwasi, Marley and Ziggy, who are part of your vocal collective set up at Lewisham Music. Before we dive in, perhaps can you tell us a little bit more about what Lewisham Music does and how you support young people, particularly through vocal work?
Yeah, sure. So Lewisham Music is an award-winning youth music charity, and we deliver and support a diverse range of musical opportunities in schools and communities around Lewisham. So how we support young people in terms of our vocal work is we sort of provide like invaluable opportunities. For example, our Lewisham Vocal Collective have had opportunities to perform at the Royal Albert Hall, and like as well as going to competitions in Birmingham and things like that. So it's really just providing with opportunities to work with like-minded people and working directly with industry professionals as well. So just to cover some of the vocal groups that we have, so we work in 2 sites. So we're mainly based at the Fellowship, which is in Bellingham, and there we have the Lewisham Vocal Collective, which we call LVC, Rap and Lyricism, and Live Voices. And then we're also based at Prendergast School, which is part of our Saturday Centre, and we have rock band, junior singers, senior singers, and folk collective.
Wow. And how many kids? I mean, that just sounds like so much stuff. How many kids like come through Lewisham Music?
I think there's hundreds because I as a community program producer, I only work on the weekly projects which take place on a Monday to Thursday, and then there's a Saturday Centre. So in the Saturday Centre, I know there's like hundreds of kids that come through, and then for us in the weekly things vocally, probably about 50-ish young people, I'd say. So it's quite a lot.
And so these specific participants that we're about to hear from, they're part of the Rap and Lyricism Collective and the Vocal Collective. Yeah. What makes those spaces so special for these young people?
I think why they're important is because they're directed at our more older young people. So they're both from the ranges of 14 to 19. So it's a really key part, especially if you're an aspiring musician. It's a really key point in your career because it's sort of a transitional stage. I think it's just before you're going into university, and it's just when you're discovering who you are as an artist. So I think those transitional stages and getting them to the next stage is like, are you going to be an independent artist? Are you going to go to university to study for this? Like, how far are you going to take it? So it's really just those key points and sort of pushing them to that next sort of level, filling them with the confidence to get to that next stage. And yeah, just the tools and how to get to the university stage, how to put your music out there if that's what you're trying to do, those sorts of things.
Actually, that's something that's in this interview too. I think it's Marley that talks about how he's got a GCSE in music. And so are these two groups really kind of almost like a middle stepping stone? Like, do they get moved from an earlier group? Do they get kind of promoted to this one? Or like, how does that work?
So they're both quite intermediate level groups. I'd say LVC, so Lewisham Vocal Collective, more than Rap and Lyricism. So we say LVC is our intermediate group for those who are super confident in singing, they're confident with vocal harmony and things like that. So I guess it is a stepping stone because we have live voices, which goes up to year 11. So once they've done live voices, because you can start from as early as year 3 for live voices. So you can work your way up, and then one of our young people from Live Voices has now moved on to LVC. So yeah, it definitely can be seen as a stepping stone. And then in terms of Rap and Lyricism, the same thing as well. I mean, we have people who go to Live Voices and then are also in like Rap and Lyricism because they want to work on their production, for example. They want to learn how to produce their own music as well as writing their own lyrics. Because so how Rap and Lyricism work is they have the option to write to music that's made by one of our producers who works with the young people, or they can use beats that they find online. So yeah, just about like can you put your lyrics to music if you want to do that? So yeah, definitely is a bit of a stepping stone, I'd say.
It's really interesting because there's clearly a real focus on quality, and we'll hear the young people talking about, constantly refining their practice. But equally, they talk so passionately about how important this ability to be able to create music and lyrics is for them. And they talk about finding a comfortable and accessible environment where they feel safe, they feel at peace. So from that perspective, how do your facilitators, who may be brilliant, probably are brilliant musicians, but how do they also create that sort of sense of safety and belonging?
Mm-hmm. I think because we're lucky to have the facilitators who work with us who are actually from the area. So like, for example, Yaz, who is like one of the two facilitators who works with Rap and Lyricism. She grew up in Bellingham. So she knows the area. She knows the young people who are there. So I think automatically it creates a sense of like belonging for young people and a sense of familiarity because they're also from the area. And I think it means that you're sort of able to open up and express a lot more freely to people that you feel already understand you. So I think, yeah, we're really lucky in that sense. And because Rap and Lyricism is free and so is the Lewisham Vocal Collective, you have the choice to come and do this. You don't have to do this. Because it's free, you're under no obligation to come and do this. This is not a school activity. It's your choice. So giving the young people ownership of their work, like if you want to get better, if you want your music to develop, you should turn up. And if you don't want to, completely up to you. So giving them their ownership and responsibility is really important as well. So yeah, because they have that and there's the freedom of coming and going if they want to, I think, yeah, that's what makes them want to keep coming back.
So they really sort of lead it for themselves?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's really interesting that because it feels like such a kind of non-judgmental environment. And I think, one of them in one of the episodes talks about the fact that there is a little bit of potentially arrogance in rapping where you've got to feel like you are the best. But equally, we hear so much from these young people sort of, supporting each other. Mm-hmm. And that's really interesting. Is that something that you sort of consciously set up to do?
I think yes, but I think it just happens naturally anyway. I think when you're like 15, I feel like there's such an awkward stage of life where like, you don't feel that comfortable with talking to people that you don't know. So once they get out of that bubble, because like the facilitators really push them to get to know each other and like find out who's into the same sort of things, and then they can create bonds from that. But like once they have created that bond, they are really supportive of each other. Like they're like, look, I know that you in the LVC, let's say for example, if they know that like one of their friends can sing in a certain way, it's like, why are you holding back? I know you can hit that note. I know you can do this sort of thing. So they really push each other to get to their potential essentially. So yeah, it's both from the facilitators and then directed by the young people as well, I'd say.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Are there other things you thought would be really fun to share with people about this group of kids or about the collectives?
I think it is just going back to it being a safe space for some of the young people. I think the facilitators create a space where they can put any sort of problems or any issues that they have and making them into sort of a productive and a more positive sort of thing, if that's like lyrically or just like learning how to channel any kind of emotions into your singing.
Yeah.
And yeah, just how to use it in a positive sort of sense. Because, yeah, some of our young people that come through from like lower income families, some of them can be like within care. So it's, you know, super complex backgrounds that some people come from. So how to express that within their music in a positive way and how to make a light of it, essentially. And again, connecting with people who are from those backgrounds and creating community through that, because we are a community-based charity, essentially. That is the whole root of why we do it, is for community and to create community.
And how do we talk a lot about special sauce for vocal leaders. We always say, there's some vocal leaders that just have special sauce. It sounds like these vocal leaders you have just really do the special sauce. And so do they receive training? Or for example, if you wanted to train up other people to do what Yaz does, how could you do that? It's a sort of $1 million question.
Yeah. I think it's just all experience, to be honest. The thing that Yaz does so well is she's just so personable and she just really listens to what you say. Like, you can talk to her about anything, she's like listening to every single word that you said and she'll remember everything that you say. And I think that's really important with young people who doubt themselves and don't believe that whatever they have to say means anything. And I think with the way that society is those days, they don't really value young people's voices or points of view. But what we do great here at Lewisham Music is we show them that your opinion does matter, is valuable, what you have to say is important. And I think Yaz does that so well, as well as our other facilitators as well, Basha and Valentine, who run LVC. They also do that really, really well. They're just super relatable for the young people. So yeah, I think just making them feel heard, and yeah, is what they do so well. But yeah, in terms of training people, I don't know. I think it's just really listening to people, and letting the young people lead the sessions is the most important things. Like, what do they want to get out of this? Because nothing to do with us as facilitators. It's not what we want to get out of it. It's what can we do for you as young people? So yeah, really just letting the young people take the lead, I'd say, is the best thing to do.
And it sounds like they have to be super flexible. That takes a lot of flexibility, doesn't it?
Definitely. Because there's sometimes, for example, Bash and Valentine can come in and one of the girls can come in from LVC and is like, oh my God, this has just happened at school. And it's thrown the whole thing off. It's right, okay, let's talk about it. But we want to regain focus, but right, let's talk about this. How can we use this for a song? How can we, let's make it productive, but we'll talk about it. We'll get through the issues, but how can we make it productive? So yeah, it can completely throw a spanner in the works if someone's energy is off. So yeah, definitely a lot of flexibility for sure.
That's really interesting. That goes back to on another of our podcast episodes, we were talking with David and Carrie Grant, and they were talking about this thing of making sure you validate the challenges the young people are going through, and that you don't sort of just go, oh, it'll all be fine, or that's only your perception. This is an avenue for being able to say, channel that into your artistry and allow it to tell your story in a way that maybe will really genuinely help you. But might inspire others as well. And I think that's what's really interesting, that, in sharing your story, there could be other people who are resonating with what they're hearing. And that's brilliant.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think Basha and Valentine are incredibly honest with their experiences and what they've been through, because they've had some incredible experiences, but they also are quite open about the hardships as well. Look, this is the reality of the music industry. This happens, but this is how you can avoid it. And this is how you can feel better about if this or this happens, sort of thing. So yeah.
And the young people are interviewed by Toni-Ann Gurdon, and she's also a young person and also a performance poet. And so can you tell us a bit about her?
So Toni-Ann She's been working with Lewisham Music just for a little bit longer than I've been there. So she's been working with us for 3 years. And she's one of our young producers. So she's come up through programs that we have had here. So Toni-Ann is like so motivated, and she does so much with so little time. I don't know how she does the things that she does, but yeah, an incredibly motivated and inspiring young person. And I think she does all the things that she does because she has like some health difficulties, but wants to show people that just because I have this in my life going on, that doesn't mean I can't do all of these amazing things. So yeah, incredibly inspiring young person for sure. And she's like honestly like such a joy to work with. So
Amazing.
Yeah, having a hostess like it just made sense. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, let's hear from the young people then. And here's our host, Toni-Ann Gurdon, and Jaden, Kwasi, Marley, and Ziggy, all from Lewisham Music.
Welcome. I'm your host, Toni-Ann Gurdon. Through personal stories, discussions on self-expression, and reflections on rhythm and mood, this episode will explore how music becomes a form of self-care, fostering holistic agency and connection for young people. This theme will highlight how young people can find their voice and build confidence through rhythmic practices and vocal techniques, and share insights into the avenues youth have explored to discover music and creativity. And today we have
Gurdon, but my artist name is Chris MA.
I go by Lifeofkwasi, but you can call me Kwasi, that's okay as well. I'm Marley.
I go by the name of Ziggy.
Awesome. Thank you for being here, guys. This podcast is about highlighting and showcasing your journeys, your stories, and also your creativity. So for you, Jaden, you're a part of the Rap and Lyricism Collective at Lewisham Music. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that's like?
So being at the Rap and Lyricism Collective, it's just kind of a comfortable experience because for me, sometimes it's not easy to focus and like find the right place to record and write lyrics. So when I come here, I just feel at peace. I feel comfortable. I feel like just ready to share and get feedback. So yeah, thanks to Yaz and Josh, they've made that environment properly like just accessible for the youth, and I feel good about that. Because personally, before I met them and before like I got joined into this group, like my writing was decent, but I had much to learn. So getting their feedback really helped me improve, like, and keep leveling up over the years.
Ziggy, can you tell us what your experience has been like in the sessions?
I feel like everyone there will like just sit together. Like we go there, it's serious and it's not serious. Like sometimes everyone will sit down, everyone's focused, they're writing, and then sometimes we'll sit down, vibe with each other, we'll talk about like whatever we really want to, we'll show each other new music. And yeah, we get help with like writing lyrics from Yaz. We have Josh or sometimes Drew if you want to record stuff, so that we actually get work that we can take home from the sessions as well.
That's amazing. And how did you hear about the sessions?
So the way that I found out about Lewisham Music and Rap and Lyricism, it wasn't actually me that found it. Turns out my mum investigated, she went online, checked it out and let me know about it because she knew I was writing some lyrics, but she wanted to help me feel more inspired because it was just kind of me by myself and like one of my friends that we were just recording together mostly, so she wanted to help extend that to something.
It's great to have you here, Marley. How did you hear about Lewisham Vocal Collective?
So I've been here for about 2 years now. So I really like it. It's fun to work with other vocalists, especially like away from school, like an educational setting. Because in my music class, it's mainly other instrumentalists. There's not a lot of other vocalists. So it's nice to come here and get a clear vocalist mindset. So when you're in there, it's very comforting for you as a singer because you know that everyone else is like you in that respect.
Could you tell us a bit more about your background and what inspired you in your journey with music and vocal expression?
Right, so the way that I got into music really was my mom and my dad both like know a lot about music. So my dad is like an artist. He like kind of does dancehall kind of or reggae kind of songs. So he's like kind of always got access to that kind of equipment. And my mum, he used to go to this, she used to do like poetry, like write some lyrics for singing and all sorts. So it's kind of just been destined for me to to begin writing as well. And I remember when I was age 7, I told my dad, when I'm 13, I'm gonna write a song and you're gonna like the song as well. So pretty much ever since then, like, I've just been writing bars. But 2022 is when I got a bit more serious, rapping more positive stuff. Because before it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. I didn't understand how to write songs properly. So I've just been learning and adapting and like growing as an artist.
Well, to be fair, I've kind of always been singing like since back in primary school. Every opportunity where there was something to like sing a solo on stage or even like a school play or something. And then I only started really getting serious about music and singing when I joined LVC here, because like I said, I wasn't really around a lot of other vocalists, so it was difficult for me to find people that were not like me in that sense, but someone who understood how to be a singer and things like that. So coming here has made it a lot easier to start branching out, especially now with in college. Like, I did music GCSE, so I got that like musical knowledge, and then now in college I'm working with others that do like music technology to help me record things, like even some of their own projects. So it's getting exponentially easier to be a singer, I think.
For me, I started music when I was younger. Well, I started rapping when I was younger. I didn't really like to go sleep at night. So I had this little notebook, because obviously I didn't have a phone or anything, so I'd just be awake with nothing to do. So I had this notebook, I started writing in the notebook. I put a few songs on YouTube that like only my friends knew about. And then I came to Rap and Lyricism here at Lewisham. And then I think I started taking it more serious from then, because I started recording songs. I also got into the production side of music as well. I started at school, and I keep doing that here as well, and I do that at college.
Since we're in a room full of creatives, what are the topics that you write, sing, rap about, or do poetry around?
Really, there could be so much I write about, like, and there is, like, it's not always the same thing every song. I try to differentiate it, but first things that come to mind and that are normally like present in all of my songs is just looking out for myself and like always just trying to be positive, even when like things are looking down for me. Like, I could start the song with a bit of like upset, depressing words, but then by the end of it, I'm trying to figure out like where I can go from there, where I can advance, like what I can do to improve myself and to get out of that situation. But in other songs, it could be like about like kind of love songs, kind of R&B songs. And if not that, then it's kind of a bit cheeky. I'm chatting about like making money and getting girls, like when I'm with my other friends on the song, like a bit like boastful and stuff like that. So yeah, just keep it real, you get me?
I would say for me, really it depends on my mood. Like sometimes I'll write like some real stuff, like I've written a couple songs about knives and gangs and things. Sometimes I'll turn into a little lover boy and I'll start writing about girls. That's
It's the way you said it. Why did you say it like that? A little lover boy. Like, what's going on there?
That's what happens when I start writing like 2 a.m. in the morning and from that after that. And then sometimes I'll just like be happy for no reason. I just jump on like a bouncy beat and just rap about whatever that comes to my mind in the moment, really.
I don't have that skill. I don't have the skill to freestyle, because at home, my mom and my little brothers, they always play this one beat and then they have little like rap battles against each other. Like, and my little brothers, they're 11 and 7, so them just coming up with bars like hating on my mom, it's very funny to listen. Like, no, it's so funny. But when I'm listening, I'm like, I don't think I can do that. Like, writing songs is so difficult. Well, for me anyway, because first of all, even just thinking about what to write about, it makes my head hurt. So when I'm listening from my bedroom, it's like, you are 7 years old, I'm 16 and I'm trying to do it, but I can't do it. So might need to take some tips from them, because I can't freestyle and it makes me uncomfortable when I try.
I can totally resonate with that. And until I met YA, I didn't think I could write or freestyle. So for many years, I would try and like write some sort of lyrics and I'd get really angry and frustrated at myself because I'd like rhyme wake and bake cake, and I'm like, this is so rudimentary, this is not good, this is terrible, and I kind of just gave up. And then when I met Yaz some years later, the process of how I decided to write a spoken word piece one time, something came to me, had a voice memo, put it in there, and then I transcribed it, read it to her, and she was like, excuse me, there's 3 poems here, and this is marvellous, and go away and work on it. And from there, it made me more comfortable with my process. And I've met a lot of other poets, I've met a lot of other musicians that actually all have very different ways of recording and bringing their lyrics to light.
Yeah, I think it's exciting because since I've been coming here, when they give us beats and go away and write, like they gave us one and then I couldn't write anything. Like it took me 2 weeks to think of anything to write, and then everyone like Tamia was there and she had like a whole song written in the space of like 5 seconds. So I it's like, what am I not grasping here?
They investigate. So it's what you're saying, you're interested, you're finding it, but I think it's the investigate. And someone recently said to me, have fun when you're investigating, have fun when you're planning. Remember that you're trying to find the end result. So while you're doing it, this like not sure where this is and is this what it looks like, have fun while you're in that process, and one day that process for you will come to light, I think.
Yeah, I got a point to go back to, because you talk about like the freestyle and stuff. It makes sense. Like, sometimes it's really difficult to like kind of come up with something on the fly. But personally, what I do is like I don't use an instrumental, because like it just lets me have more time to think freely. Because like if I have an instrumental, it doesn't matter what BPM it is. I kind of feel constrained to how long like every 2 bars is. So like I just feel like if I don't say something in time or don't form a sentence, then I'm just gonna flop the whole thing and I just stumble through it. So start off just like using no instrumental and just say the first thing that comes to mind. No matter how silly it sounds, just say whatever you want, and then from there you can keep going. And when you're tired of like one rhyming word, just think of one of the other words that you said in your sentence and then kind of switch the rhyme pattern to rhyme off of that. Like just do a bit of word association. So say if I was like saying I'm gonna go to the bakery and bake a cake, I could think about maybe, what did I see when I was going there? I could say I saw rain and some clouds. Then I switch it to clouds. Like who was there when I was about at the bakery? Like just keep going based off of something else that you have in your sentences. That's kind of how I learn to get better at freestyling anyway.
That's a really, really good example that you just gave. Word association. That's a very strong tool when it comes to songwriting.
The topics that I write about are very similar to these guys here. I see myself as a narrator, so I just simply write about the things that I personally experience. So, you know, sometimes I do get in my lover boy era, my bag like Ziggy over here. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And then sometimes there's environmental issues that I feel like covering, you know. And so it's just dependent on exactly what's going on. And I think the older I've gotten, I've been able to figure out smarter ways of saying obvious things, because sometimes for people listening that might not necessarily understand the genre in which you're in, saying things as they are can be daunting for them. But if you say it and you use like a little bit more metaphors. I remember you saying before, Jaden, about wordplay and things like that. So being able to be clever with your words, it opens up a new space for you to be able to say things that people wouldn't necessarily think to say, or they wouldn't be able to articulate it themselves. And then also back to the topic of freestyling and writing and things like that, I think you mustn't be too hard on yourself, because if you freestyle and it works for you, then fantastic. But if you don't freestyle and you write, then brilliant. I think about someone who's doing brilliantly right now, someone like Billie Eilish, you know. I think Birds of a Feather, I think she said she freestyled that whole song, but then some of her other ones she wrote. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And I think a lot of the times as well, people when people say freestyling, they think that you must freestyle the whole song. It's not like that all the time. And when you're in the studio, I always say you have superpowers, because you can stop and start at any point that you like. You know, a lot of the times when you're recording a song, if you want to attempt to freestyle, even if you start off with 1 or 2 bars, you know. You have the time to be able to think about it. If I was in a studio and I had an ample amount of time to be able to think about a word that rhymes and that fits with my situation, I could go on an interview on record and say I freestyled it. Is it a freestyle? That's up to you to decide whether it's a freestyle or not. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So essentially, the point I'm trying to make, just like maybe Specs Gonzalez would say, but there's no rules, literally. You can do whatever you like.
I love that, and that was a really, you know, interesting observation. And I think that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about expression. We're talking about what music means to you. We're talking about why you find it so valuable in your everyday lives. And one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is, what is your approach for crafting your music or your lyrics that carry an emotional or meaningful message?
So when it comes to making like lyrics that are kind of impactful and all sorts, I like to always think of, how can I look at this from outside the box? Like, rather than just saying, I feel bad today, I want to feel better, how can I change that into something more original and give a new perspective to it? I could probably say something like, I've seen darkness for the past few days, so what path can I take to change my ways, or something like that? Like, it's saying the same thing, but it gives a whole new perspective to it, rather than just saying, I feel bad, I want to feel good. Because you always need to look from a new perspective on how you can transform your lyrics. Because there's so many more ways to say something, and there's so many other artists that already said this. So you got to look, like, kind of get a new angle.
And as for you, Ziggy, you obviously got some interest in other kind of genres and stuff. Is that something that you feel like you'll touch one day?
I listen to a lot of dancehall and reggae, so I feel like it's something I definitely like to incorporate into my work. Like, what's the word, like a fusion of different genres all in one. But I feel like when writing, beat selection is very important. Like, a lot of the time, if I don't like the beat, I'm not gonna write on it. And I feel like also with rapping, learning the production side of it is key as well. Because since I've learned how to produce, if I can't find anything that I like, but I know at the vibe I'm kind of going for, I'll go and make it myself. And I feel like that's important as well, because when you're making it yourself, you can personalize it to how you want it, and like, the whole project then is really yours, because you've made the beat, you've made the lyrics, you've done everything together.
Wicked. For me, just listening to you speak, because obviously Toni-Ann will know this, but I got a thing about, you know, like pitches and voices and stuff, but you've got the perfect pitch to do loads of genres. It's like a great balance. It's like, it's deep, but also you've got like an animated voice as well, which is like, I think any producer or engineer's dream, because you can do so much with it. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Thank you.
No problem at all. And like Jaden's got this like clarity as well.
I can hear it as well, you know, because even like you're saying with Ziggy's, the animation in his voice. And as I said, I've been at LM for about 3 years now, and I've watched you develop and grow. I've heard your music, Ziggy. I've witnessed you writing and going into the studio and doing your thing, and you're so cold. And even with you, Jaden, hearing some of your lyrics and your tonality, your clarity, the way that your diction, I can just hear both of you on a track.
I can definitely hear it.
Yeah.
It's got a good flow, so I definitely agree with that.
So Kwasi, how do you think altering tempo and beats affect listeners' moods?
Good question. I think tempos can affect anyone's mood, and for me personally, I think it's just really dependent on how I'm feeling at the time, and depending on the subject matter that I'm dealing with. I could be really happy and make like an upbeat song and a skippy one, and I've realised when being in the studio with other people as well, just because the tempo's slow doesn't necessarily mean the song has to be sad, and just because the tempo's higher doesn't necessarily mean it has to be happy. You can play about with it as it needs to. I can think of a couple of songs that are, you know, high in tempo, maybe high in vibration, like Coldplay Paradise, for example, but it's not necessarily the most saddest song, or it's not necessarily the most happiest song. It's just what he wanted to encapsulate at the time is exactly what it is, and he caught a middle ground. And I think that's it for me. I've kind of been trying to master that specific part of my musicality personally.
Your new release is My Room's Kinda Messy.
Yeah.
And I really love the chorus in there, and I love when you start to count within the lyrics as well. When it came to picking that melody and beat, what did you want people to feel when they heard that song?
I think for me, there's that old adage. People always say if you take a look at your room, it's often a good reflection of your mind state. You know, so my room being messy was how I was feeling at the time. And then funny enough, it was a song I found funny. But then what you realize is loads of people start relating to it. That wasn't the intention, it was just something for me to be able to get out. And then within the verses, I was also able to say, you know, my piece or my vision of the world in my little metaphor of my room. So I think that song just gave me the passage to be able to be metaphorical with how the world is and how my brain is as well, but just to say it in my own piece.
That's exactly what I envisioned.
Yeah.
And it just spoke to me so much. And I want to ask both of you, Jaden and Ziggy, are there any sort of techniques that you use within specific songs or tracks which is there to help convey something specific? So kind of like with Kwasi, that he's put that counting technique within the chorus so it allows you to absorb it.
Yeah, okay, so I do have like many ways to kind of express like an emotional like type of speed. An example that comes to mind is like using questions, kind of pausing, trying to reflect off of what's been going on in the song so far. So last year I wrote like a kind of love song because I felt a bit heartbroken, and in fact it's not even that, it's like repetition of something that I used to convey a certain emotion. So the previous line would be, when I look in your eyes, what do I see? And then I see how you're gorgeous, see how you're sweet, see how you smile when you're talking to me. And like, just so like, it kind of makes the listener kind of recognize that there's a pattern going on in that. But for faster songs, like the way that I kind of encapsulate a bit of speed, or well, what I do is use speed to my advantage. So I might increase the speed of the flow and like use less like full sentences and break it down to like lesser words.
When you're making music, if there's like a specific something in a song that you want to convey, I think it's important how you communicate with your producer when they're mixing it. Because say there's like a certain lyric that really means something to you, you might want to tell the producer that, can you drop it out here so when people are listening to the song, the bar, it really hits, or the meaning behind what you said, they really start to think about and understand it. Just something that makes it stand out from the rest of your song.
That is a really, really good tip. I love that. Thank you, Ziggy. If music were a medicine, what prescription would you write to uplift someone's mood? Marley?
I'm not sure, because I can be in any mood and listen to any type of music. So I think there's nothing specific, just listen to what makes you feel whatever emotion you want to feel. Even if you're happy, listen to something sad, because sad music's not always for sad people. Yeah.
Did you want to like do a little short 30-second, 1 minute freestyle? No pressure, don't have to.
So this is from like a more recent song that I've written. It's a bit more aggressive, but like I just had some stuff to get off my chest, so I just wanted to like write it and let my anger and frustration out. Look, okay. I don't really care about all of that capping. I make things happen, I move in a rush. Done that first and I followed the pattern. I started slow and I'm doing too much. Tear up the beat, man call me a savage. I call it a gift when I'm wrapping it up. Took a few breaks, I forgot about music. Now that I'm back, I'm turning it up. Don't go putting expensive clothing to get noticed. The girl just nosy, made first moving. I'm too outspoken, so all till now, man, she wanna hold me. She wanna hold me, she wanna know me, she wanna love me, she wanna be wifey, but I won't focus. She can't be wifey, trust me, flip that. Ask about me on sick fam. Me versus them is a mismatch. Which man said they're better than me? Switch that, bring a receipt. Big cat when you hop on a beat. Big facts know that I do it easy. I can tell that their mental's weak. They're preying my page with a like one neek.
Jeez. I'm so sorry, guys. The mic is smoking.
It's not even done yet. There's a little bit more I could go on. It's probably going to be called IDRC. I don't really care. It's just a working name, but that's what it might be called.
And can you give us your artist name and where people can find your music?
Okay, so my name is Chris MA. So Chris and then the letters M.A. And I'll be on SoundCloud. I'm also on BandLab.
Amazing. And Ziggy, is there anything that you want to showcase for us?
So I recently made a song, did a music video to it. It's called Chaser. It's not really, it's more of a jumpy song, but yeah. More time I'm not really a follower, but for the bag best know I'm a chaser. And I know that she wants me, I want her too, but me know I could never chase her. She say like Henny and Ray, but don't mix that with a chaser. I'm really a beast in the game, but they confuse me with a guy from the Chasers. And I find it easy to lose focus, but I won't do that to the paper. I ain't ever miss not once, go check on my CV, read all the data. I got bars for days of the symbol next to your 4G data, a real cash maker. Yeah, I'm on my path, but I know that the line's not straight like a taper. I might go D&D on a track, got no chill P&D, I got evidence, camera, CCTV. I'm no one of the channel, that's BBC. I'm soon to be seen on your TV screens. I've heard that I'm polished, that's squeaky clean. She's asking what is my favourite colour, I'm asking what do you see in me?
Jeez. Wow, guys.
Wow. Don't let that chaser bar go over your head.
That was
Superstar. Listen,
I really like that.
the energy, that is insane. Thank you for sharing that with us. And can you share what your artist name is and where we can find more of your music?
So on Spotify, my artist name is Ziggy_. That's also on Apple Music and Amazon Music.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast with us today, guys, and sharing your talent and creativity. We really appreciate having you here, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future and where your creative goals and paths take you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us today.
Well, that was amazing. And thanks so much to Afiya Lucombe-Davis for joining us at the beginning of the podcast, and also to Toni-Ann, who hosted the interviews.
And to all of the young people who took part in them and were so inspiring and so open about the power of this work, of this vocal work for them in their lives. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Inspiring Voices. Please remember to subscribe and leave us a review on Apple or Spotify.
Videos of each episode are also available on Sing Up Foundation YouTube channel. For more about us, and to access our library of resources, or to donate to support our work, please visit www.singupfoundation.org.
Thanks to Becky Owen and The Refuge for our beautiful podcast music, specially arranged by Becky and adapted from her song Anemone.